I always say to myself, if anyone's going to do it and do it well, it's going to be me. The amount that I see regular people travel on normal salaries is not normal.
It means nothing.
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing. I need to think about having my children set.
My phone was dying. I said, why's my phone dying? Because I didn't know the notifications have been going off for hours. I thought you drive a Range Rover. I said, why? He said, you're just doing well. I thought you'd have a Range Rover. I said, my car is not a status of what wealth I have.
Hey beautiful, welcome back to the Kiya Convos podcast. This is the space for all things self-care, wellness and empowerment. I'm your host, Amoah, and today I am so excited for our guest. We have the gorgeous Kiya. Hi.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming down. I know it's taken a while to get this going. You're a very busy lady.
I know, but I appreciate you having me. I'm really excited for our conversation today.
Yeah, me
and
too.
I'm glad we can make it happen.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I love to always kick off just asking guests to introduce yourself to the audience, let them know who you are.
So my name is Kia Commodore. I am a financial educator and founder of the financial literacy platform Pennies to Pounds, which I've been running for over 5 years now to educate young people on personal finance. And on top of that, more recently, I am also an author. So yes. I've written a book, How to Handle Money, which is for 11 plus to also learn about financial literacy in a jargon-free way.
Perfect. Wow, you've done that many times.
It's not my first rodeo.
Yeah. So tell me about you outside of all of that. So, growing up, did you always have an interest in money, in finance? What did that look like?
Really good question. So growing up, I would say I was born and raised in Newham.
Okay.
I was born to first generation Caribbean parents.
Okay.
I have a brother, so it's my brother and I and my parents. We weren't well off at all. If you know anything about Newham, it's not a wealthy area by any means.
Yeah.
But my parents, probably like most parents, wanted us to do well. Mm-hmm. And then it was when, I was like about 9. Over summer holidays, my mum taught me how to knit. She used to knit with her mum, so she wanted to teach me. And I went into school and decided to start selling scarves. And that's when I first got a taste that you could actually just make something and make money. Mm-hmm. And I made some decent money. I sold it to my friends and my teachers. And then when I got to secondary school, I went to an all-girls school in Newham. Okay. And within the first week, most people there to make friends. Mm-hmm. The first 2 days, I saw the older girls selling cookies and donuts. And I ran the numbers and I said, they're making some good money.
Yeah.
So in the first week, did I have any friends? Not outside of my primary school friends, but I knew I had a plan.
Okay.
I had a plan to make money.
Yeah.
And I remember going home to my dad and my mum and sitting them down like Dragon's Den and asking them for £5 investment. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to buy cookies. I'm going to make this money. This is how much money I think I can make. And my dad gave me the £5, but he said, if you get in trouble by school, you're in trouble at home too.
Okay.
So if they catch you, because you're not meant to do it. If they catch you, you're in trouble there and at home.
It's if they catch you.
If they catch you. But if they don't, then cool.
Yeah.
So he gave me the £5 investment and I started selling cookies and that began me on my 5-year selling spree.
Oh, wow.
And I made a lot of money. And in sixth form, I studied economics, and alongside that, I was wholesaling black hair products that I imported from the US in the UK. So products that they weren't selling here at all.
Let's not skim past that. How did that start? What made you dive into that?
I think like a lot of businesses, it was off the back of my own need.
Sure.
I was online on Instagram and I was seeing all these products that look so good for black hair. And I really want them, but you couldn't get them outside of the US and they wouldn't even ship to the, Europe. Yeah. If I could get it in £20 shipping, I probably would have gotten it. You couldn't even get it. So I remember saying that to my dad and he was like, why don't you just see if you can just distribute it? And I said, me? Yeah. He was like, yeah. So I remember I reached out to them via email and they were like, yeah.
Oh, wow.
You can. Yeah. They told me all the things I needed to approve me as like an official wholesaler.
Yeah.
I didn't have any of those things, but I went to apply for it in the UK, got it. And then I became the sole distributor of some like hair product brands in Europe. So I was the only one who had it in Europe to sell it.
And you were how old, sorry?
17.
Wow.
Thank you.
I mean, that's not small. That's not something to just skip over at all.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I think all of that built up to when I finally got to university. And that was the first time in all of those years that I felt like I had all this knowledge but couldn't make money. I didn't know how to manage the little bit of money that I had. I went to university, I moved away from home, but I didn't have much student finance. I didn't have, you couldn't get a job where I was because, there's like thousands of students going for hundreds of jobs. There's not really that many places. So it took me, the first year I didn't have a job at all.
Yeah.
And that was the tightest year where I had no money and I had to make it stretch. And I think that's when I really kicked into action. Then I realized a lot of my friends had the same issues. So I turned to YouTube initially to teach my peers. And then a tweet went viral in 2019,
Sure.
October, and then that pretty much kick-started where I am today with pennies to pounds.
So during that period, were you quite active on all social platforms? Or it was just okay.
No. I was like most 18, 19-year-olds, you're online for your friends.
Yeah.
My main platform was Snapchat because I had all my friends on there.
Sure.
I had an Instagram page, which I probably updated once a quarter, so like 4 times a year, right? Didn't do anything.
Yeah.
I tweeted a fair bit, I will say that. I was on Twitter a lot. But that's just because it was words, you can tweet anything.
Yeah.
But I wasn't really active. I didn't have many followers. I probably had under 3,000 followers across everything. Didn't have anything.
Yeah.
So when I made this tweet and it went viral, that wasn't...
What was the tweet?
So their Help to Buy ISA was coming to a close. And
Sure.
one of my friends had asked me, she said, she knew I had this finance interest. And she said, my mum wants me to get this and put £1 in, but I don't get how it works. So can you basically create a post explaining it? So I tweeted it because she said you should put it on Twitter and then just screenshot the tweets and put it in your Instagram story. I was like, cool, I'll do that. But I was working at the time. I posted a tweet. I thought on my lunch break, I'll come back and screenshot the tweets and put it on my story. And in that time, it gone viral.
Wow.
When I say viral, I mean like 20,000
Yeah.
retweets. Like it had gone insane. And my followers had just jumped up.
Yeah.
Insane. Yeah. It was crazy. And that wasn't the plan.
What were you thinking on your lunch break when you saw?
My phone was dying. I said, why is my phone dying? Because I didn't know the notifications have been going off for hours. I've been literally working 4 hours, not on my phone.
Yeah.
I was like, why is my phone on 10%? How did you walk in for 100%? I'm so confused. And then I realized, when your phone, I don't know if you've ever had it, it freezes because I'm trying to scroll and there's just so many notifications that come in at the same time.
Yeah.
I couldn't even scroll. I said, what is going on? And my friend was like, I think this is you. And she showed me my tweet on her phone and I saw how viral it got. I said, oh my gosh.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was crazy.
So at that point, had you already been sharing bits and bobs about finance?
Yeah. So the year before, I'd been creating YouTube videos around.
No, I mean on Twitter.
On Twitter, no. That was the first time.
Okay.
That was the first time I'd ever, in any real serious capacity, talk about money.
Yeah.
So that was people's first introduction to me when it comes to finance. And it was my first introduction onto Twitter talking about finance in that way.
That's really interesting because they usually say, you have to be speaking about a topic to build authority, but just one tweet, like your first tweet going viral and it made such an impact.
It did. But I think it was just
timing.
At the right time.
Yeah.
I mean, there is an element which I still 100% believe in. You need to have some backing. So you need to have done something for a period of time before you experience that moment where you blow, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of time people say that number is 10 years. I just happened to be at the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
It was coming to a close. Young people were being told to put £1 in to this thing because their parents tell them to open it up and you've got like 30 days to open it up.
Yeah.
But why should I? So I just said, well, this is what it is and this is why your parents say put £1 in it. And then people were literally going in masses, going to the bank and showing people my thread. And I had people who work at banks find my Twitter just to tell me like we've had 50 young people come in this week showing your tweet, like it's done really well, thank you so much for like basically teaching young people what they need to know when it comes to finances.
Yeah, sure. So what did you think at that point in terms of, okay, this is how I need to move forward? Because you could have just had that viral moment and then it could have come and then passed. Yeah. But you've really maximized it and turned it into a whole career and business. So what did you think at that moment in terms of, okay, this is what I'm going to do next?
Do you know what? People always ask me this. And anyone who was around me at that time will attest that it went viral. I had to take in the day that my tweet went viral. I remember going home to my dad, explaining what Twitter was properly, explaining what viral meant, and then telling him I'd gone viral. And then the next day I said, I'm building something from this. Sure. And I remember telling my friends and they were like, oh, but you went viral. People go viral all the time. I said, I get it. People let it come and go, like you said. I said, I'm not going to do that. I don't know what it's going to be, but I'm going to build something from this. And the determination I had in my belly, I just have to say that it couldn't have come just from me because when you don't have certainty of what direction you're going to go in, I had no idea what I was going to do with it. Yeah. I just knew I had to do something. I knew that I've been given an opportunity.
And you weren't going to waste it.
Not at all.
Yeah.
So within 2 weeks of that tweet going viral, I started a Pennies Pounds podcast.
Oh, wow.
To maintain the momentum.
Yeah.
And then it basically just grew from there.
Yeah. So what did you speak about initially on a platform? Did you already have an idea of what you were going to share, or were you intending to just follow up from, I guess, the tweet that had gone viral?
Well, I already knew because I was trying to understand what was it about my thread that made it go so viral. Yeah. Yes, the timing and topical. What was it? And a lot of people were kind of tweeting back to me and saying, you actually explained it in a way that I can understand, because I removed all the jargon, or if I did put jargon in it, I explained exactly what that word meant. Yeah. So you understood what I meant. Well, when you read it again, you know what that word means. So I said, okay, cool. I'm just going to start talking about finance, but in a way that young people understand.
Yeah.
I'm just going to remove the jargon, or if I do include jargon, I'm going to explain to you what APR means, or what bonds are, or ETFs, because those words are thrown around like you're meant to know it, and we're not taught at school. Yeah. So that was the aim. When I started the podcast, I said, I don't know what I'm going to talk about, but I'm just going to talk to young people about money and talk to them about the things that they really need to know about money, because Help to Buy ISA was one minute part of finances. That was just something that's coming to a close. Yeah. But if you talk about buying your first home, or saving generally, or you want to build your wealth for a long time, there's a lot of things that young people need to know that we're not taught. So let me be that beacon.
Yeah, sure. So what did your journey look like after starting a podcast? How's it been since then?
It's been a whirlwind. It's been 5 years. It's been a whirlwind. It's been crazy. Shortly after the podcast, I was working a lot with the BBC. So I was doing TV and radio.
How did that come about?
That they found me on Twitter and reached out to me and brought me on radio stations and TV, which was crazy. It was very crazy. And then off the back of that, I co-hosted a podcast for the BBC called Your Work, Your Money. That was in the pandemic time. So we got into pandemic maybe March. Yeah. Our podcast started around May. So I was co-hosting that for about a year, which was great. And it's been an absolute whirlwind. We've grown more than I could imagine. And it's been great to go from strength to strength with the business. I think what I really like, that also gives me some anxiety, is that there is no clear cut path. I think sometimes when you go into different business models and paths, there's someone who's done it before you, so you can kind of see what that path looks like roughly. You know, if you want to sell clothing, there's many different clothing brands that you can kind of look at and track the path. It might not be exactly your path, but you kind of roughly know what you should be looking
where
at.
you can get to.
Right, exactly, where you can get to. And it might not be exact steps, but you know roughly. Yeah. With me, financial education, building this platform for young people, I'm not the first, nor will I be the last, but there wasn't a clear-cut path. Even some of the things that we've been able to do haven't been done by people. So I'm always, every day, people don't realize, every day I'm trying to figure out what the next step looks like. What we're going to do next. What does pennies pounds eventually evolve into? Yeah.
No, that's really, what have been some of the highlights so far over the last 5 years?
What was the last 5 years? What have been some of the highlights? Oh, okay. First one was when I got a TV show with Channel 4 called why is it? Money on My Mind. Escape my mind. Money on My Mind. And I was one of 3 finance experts, and that was a great time. We filmed 6 episodes. It was a digital series for Channel 4 in partnership with Barclays, and that was incredible. I mean, I was being taken here, there. We're having recording days. It was great. Yeah, it was great. Second to that would probably be, I had a campaign with Nike in 2022, which was incredible, because I never thought, I mean, I'd love to, but I never thought finance and Nike would ever cross over. But
they do really well with these.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, they collaborations.
Do. And it was incredible. I remember feeling so overwhelmed on that shoot day. There was like 200 people on that shoot day. It was insane. Insane. But it was great because the campaign was featured on their sneakers app in Nike Town. We had events for it. They had my own finance event.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that was great. Yeah. And then probably in tandem was probably when my book got released in October 2024. And on the same day of my publication day, I won an award for the best business/finance creator of the year.
Congratulations.
So, thank you. So yeah, I think that those have been some really poignant moments. Those ones have really reinforced that I'm on the right path and I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah. And what would you say have been some challenges that you faced on your journey so far?
I think number one will probably be the fact that I'm a young black woman. Right? I can't escape that. I started at 21, going on 22, 27 now. Yeah. That hasn't been easy. I think in the beginning, when I was so young, I felt as though I had to conform with what someone who talks about finance looks like. Sure. And how they portray themselves and everything like that. So I feel like I kind of stripped back who I was to fit in, which I don't think was wholly wrong at the time. I think I needed to build up that authority and build up that respect to my industry. But that was hard, walking into rooms, especially before I knew how I should present myself properly, and instantly feeling judged. When you really feel overwhelmed by something, you instantly feel judged.
Yeah. I mean, you were pretty much thrown into the deep end with it all. So
I had no idea. There was no one I could lean on. Even like just running a business.
Yeah.
Because it became a business. It wasn't going to be, but it became a business. Even just doing that, it's not like I could lean on someone in my personal life and say, hey, what do I do here? I have to figure it all out.
Yeah.
Now I have loads of business friends, which is great. But at the time, I had no idea. So that'd be one. Number two, and I always say this, I say this all the time, the hardest thing you can do is hire a team.
Yes.
Now,
Yes.
oh my gosh, initially my issue was around letting go. I'm over that. I can give up the control to let people come in. So I think a lot of business owners are like, this is my baby. And I do feel like that. But I also know that I might not be the best person for every single job.
Yes.
So that's fine. But the hardest part is finding people for a team. Now, I don't want anyone to be confused. No one's ever going to love your project, your baby, your business as much as you do. No one. Doesn't matter how much you pay them. No one's going to have that love for it the way you do. And I'm aware of that. And I think it would be crazy if they did. You know, I work over the weekend, sometimes into the early hours of the morning during the week. You shouldn't be doing that. You should switch off, right? That's just how it is.
You should.
And it's my baby, not yours. So it's fine. But in the same breath, trying to find someone who understands what you're trying to build and wants to even just give a level of passion to help you to achieve that, it's hard to find. I have found probably 3 people who currently work within the business who are incredible, who have the passion for the business, who really want to see it do well, but trying to build out those extra team members and those extra spaces.
What are the roles you have
at present?
Yeah.
So I will say I do pretty much everything that you see, but I have a graphic designer. He's the incredible person behind all of our iconic graphics, our logos, everything.
Sure.
I have an article writer, and she also writes our newsletter, our weekly newsletter.
Sure.
And then I have an admin assistant who's all over our emails and anything else that we kind of need to run. Outside of that, and that includes editing, that includes posting, everything is me. Now, I have had people over the years who've taken on that community manager role, but it's hard to find that right fit with that. So that's probably been the hardest thing, finding the right team.
I feel like with business owners in this day and age, that's always the difficult bit because socials are so integral to a business.
Yes. You can't just throw it away to anyone.
At all. Yeah.
It's so important. And I think because our target audience is Gen Z and millennials, social media is where they live.
Yeah.
So it's even more important to us that the social media needs to be on point, and it can't just be, and I think I've had people every so often who are brought on and they have great ideas, and then when it comes to execution, it's just posting for the sake of posting. Like, oh, well, you said we need to post today, so I posted. I'm like, yeah, but did you?
It's better to just not post.
I'd rather you just wait a day and then we kind of refine it, you know what I mean? So I think that's always been the hard part because our audience are online.
Yeah.
So we need to get them there, and then they might come to our website or they might subscribe to our newsletter and get extra information. But ultimately, we're going to find them on TikTok. When they're scrolling, we want them to stop and watch our video and be like, oh, actually, I want to know about my finances. Follow. I want to keep delving deeper now. That's what we want.
Yeah, definitely. So getting into the finance a bit more.
Yes.
What are some common misconceptions that you found young, I guess I would say black, but not necessarily black, people in the UK have when it comes to finances and money?
First one, massive one, and I don't know if this is specific to the black community. I'm not going to say it is. But obviously I am part of the black community, so I see it amongst my peers, but it probably goes across many young people. I would say is that there is this belief that having expensive items means that you're wealthy. And that is not the case. If I had £1 for every young person that I've met who's got a really nice car or has got designer items or travels all the time, but is actually either in crippling debt or is having to work non-stop to afford that lifestyle, I'd be a rich woman because I see it time and time and time again. And I remember a couple of years ago, maybe about 4 years ago, I was on a podcast for someone, and it was a young boy at the time. He might be 19 when this podcast, and I had an older car than what I have now, right? My car right now is not a flashy car, but it was older. I had a car before that. And he was shocked. He said, oh, I thought you'd drive a Range Rover. I said, why? He said, you're just doing well. I thought you'd have a Range Rover. I said, my car is not a status of what wealth I have. It's got nothing to do with it. The two are not intrinsically linked. Some of the wealthiest people I know drive tiny, understated, often old cars. But yet their wealth, whether it's like their investments, their bank balance, everything, is through the roof. You couldn't even imagine how much money they've got and how much money they're making. So if you're looking at what people wear or what they own, to be an indicator of wealth, oh, my glass came off. To be an indicator of wealth, then you're sorely mistaken. Because that's not, the two are not linked. So that'd be probably the first one. Second one would be to not think about their future early enough.
Okay.
A lot of young people, and I get it, right? I'm in my 20s, so I'm not talking like an old person. I get it. I understand. But it is hard. If I sat here and told you to think about you at 65, there's probably no image that comes to your mind.
I mean, I'm like, okay, I'll have grandkids by then.
Exactly, but the clarity is not there.
Yeah,
but if I asked you to think about yourself in 5 years' time, you probably got way more clarity.
100%.
So asking young people in their 20s and 30s to think about them in their 60s and 70s is near enough impossible. Yet if you do not think about yourself then, at that age, you are going to end up getting to 50, 60, say, I'm going to retire soon, and then realize, oh my gosh, I've got nothing to retire from. Now I've got to keep working.
Yeah.
And the amount of people, especially ethnic minority backgrounds, that I've met, people's parents or grandparents who are still working in their 70s.
Yes.
Because they physically cannot afford to retire. Not working because they choose to, working because
they have to.
I kind of have to keep a part-time job at least.
Yeah.
Because I can't afford to fully stop working. The problem is that no one taught them that your 20s and 30s when you need to be thinking about your pension, thinking about investments for the long term, think about what you're going to do now to set yourself up. That doesn't mean sacrifice. If you want to go on holiday and you want to have fun, you can plan for that. But it also just means keeping in mind that, one day I want to get old. And if I want to be that grandparent who's at home chilling, mortgage fully paid, relaxing, then I need to think about that right now, because things like the state pension is not enough. So just over £11,000 a year.
Not at all.
You know what I mean? That's nothing. So you're going to have extra money put to the side, ready for when you retire.
Yeah.
And I have people like my dad. My dad's early 50s now, and he can draw down for his early retirement in a couple of years. He is set. All because at 18, he made a decision, this pension thing, I should probably put some money in my pension. Okay. Now he's going to be 55 in a couple of years, and he is ecstatic that he planned so early on that he can retire.
Yeah.
Partially retire, he wants to, not fully. He's still got some life in him yet, but he can still take some time, right, to actually treat himself.
But he has a choice.
He has that choice.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't give themselves that choice because they don't think early on about their future enough.
This is very interesting. So going back to your initial point about equating material things to wealth, that's something. So I have 3 kids. My eldest is about to be 13, and I say to her all the time, I'm like, yes, we're going to buy you Nike. But you're not going to have the latest just because it doesn't mean anything. Obviously, growing up, I grew up in Southeast London. We wanted the latest everything, the JD bag, whatever, in my day. But it's like having foresight and just seeing now, okay, at my age, I can see how things, I'm in my getting to mid 30s, and just seeing like, okay, what I was spending on in my teens, in my early 20s, it means nothing.
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing. I need to think about having my children set. School uniform is expensive. I have 3. There's so much more to life. So you can have this car, but that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. You can have so much, as you rightly said, you can have so much sitting in your bank account. And it can be the thing that me and my husband always say, I'm not into cars. I'm into, I like to have a bit of, I like food. I like experiences.
I love experience. I love food. You're talking right to my soul.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, I could just have this basic car, but I'm going to eat this whenever I want to. And that's how I enjoy myself. I'm not going to buy this just to please people or to make people have a certain perception about myself. And I think not enough people are being true to themselves about what do you actually enjoy. X person, their thing could be cars. So they're going to spend on a car because that's what they're into. Another person, their thing is actually bags. So they're going to go and save for the designer bag. You're not even really into bags. You couldn't care less.
It's true.
But because you saw this influencer with this bag, you're going to force and get it. They were gifted the bag.
That's always the thing. You're following people online and you need to really ask yourself, how did they get it?
How did they get it?
I think a lot of people, maybe because I'm in this world, I obviously know how much and what kind of things people can be gifted.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm not even a massive influencer like that. And some of the things that I've been gifted, I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean you're just giving me this? Like, it's insane. So if you actually sit down and ask the question, how did they get this bag? How did they get this thing? you're here racking, trying to take out loans, do this, do that, type of same thing, and then
your whole student finance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I just think we really need to put it in perspective. And like you said, people have different things that make them happy. And even then, if you need to ask yourself, when you're buying something, who is it for? Is it for you, or so people have an impression of you?
Yes.
And I always say, whenever you get a nice car, cars especially, right? People are only going to tell you that they like it once. The first time they see it, oh my gosh, that car is so sick. Oh, let me sit in it. Second time you bring it, oh yeah, can you drop me home, please? That nicety is gone. They're used to it.
Yeah.
So if you're buying it for other people, that is a very, very expensive impression to buy. Right? If you're buying it for yourself, there's some people, and I obviously have cars because I drive all the time.
Yeah.
There's a car that I really want. When I get it, hey, it doesn't matter what people say, I'm living the high life every time I get in it, right?
Yeah.
But that's me buying it for me. But if you're buying it for other people, and I know a lot of people who buy stuff for other people for that validation, it's not worth it, if you ask me.
Yeah, definitely. And to your second point, I wanted to ask, so I'm going to assume your dad is the one that maybe instilled your passion for finance.
Yes.
Yeah, sure. Just what did that look like growing up? What did he actively install that in you, or is it just something you learned from his behavior?
No, he actively made a decision. So him and my mum got together very young. They were 19.
Okay.
And then they had myself at 24, my brother at 29.
Okay.
So before they had me, my dad always says that they were in like insane debt. They were young people who didn't know what to do, just kind of just living life. We'll just do store cards and credit cards. We'll just like live the best life, right?
Can I just say that generation, they really didn't they loved credit.
They really did.
When I speak to my parents, I'm like, yeah, you guys really enjoyed credit. They just thought, let me spend.
I'm just going to enjoy it.
It's just free money.
Yeah. And then obviously then he realized it was not free money.
It's not free money.
It was not free money.
Yeah.
So he worked to clear off his own debt and then my mum's debt, which was a lot of money.
Yeah.
So when they had me, they wanted to do it before they had me. When they had me, he made an active decision to teach his kids about money. Wow. So growing up, that looks differently, but the youngest I remember was probably about being 6 or 7 and taking regular trips to the bank, maybe monthly with my mum.
Okay.
So we'd go to the bank. I had a child savings account and I remember they gave me like my own savings pot. I could put it in there, all the coins would filter into the right place.
Yeah.
And then we'd go in and I had my little savings book where they'd write in how much was in my account every time I brought in my coins to put in. Then as I got older, that changed into a slightly older account. I have a bit more money. When I was selling cookies and donuts, those trips became fairly regular because I had to put that money into my savings.
Well, that's so good that they allowed they made you do that. That's really good.
Because they really wanted me to understand. And then I remember I got to sixth form and my mum decided that she wanted to give me pocket money. But she said, I'm only going to give you pocket money on one condition. I'm going to review it every month. But she gave me a book. She said, you have to write down how much you have and keep track. Essentially, what I now know to be a budget.
Yeah.
Which said you need to keep track of what you spend on, what it was, and why you bought it. So the first month, I spent on anything. Then as the months went by, I became more detailed of why I wanted to buy something. How much money do I actually have left? Do I really want to spend this?
Because
or should I save
understood the value of
I
money.
understood that this is all I have.
Yeah.
And at any moment, mum could reduce the amount she gives me. She could completely cut it if she doesn't feel that I'm buying things that are worthwhile because that's what she wanted me to write down. So why did you buy it? Did you really want this for a long time? Or was it just an impulse purchase? You walk past the shop and she really wanted me to understand why I was making those decisions. And I'll say that those lessons gradually got more intense in their complexity as I got older, obviously, because you understand more things. When I got to university, my dad was like, well, you've got to start thinking about buying a house, which I think was a bit dramatic. I was moving out to university, just trying to get a degree. But, they
he was thinking ahead
increased.
for you.
He was thinking, yeah, no.
Round of applause to your parents. That is something that is very uncommon. I've never heard of this before.
Oh, wow.
Especially in our community. Parents being so heavily involved in teaching their children. I mean, yes, there are parents that open, savings accounts, but they would usually put things into the account for the child. The child is not necessarily privy to what's going on with their account. My husband recently opened an account for my daughter, so she manages her school money, so she has to top up. And then I remember we were like, okay, there's money in your account, so you can go to the cinema. And she came home and she was like, popcorn is so expensive.
Because she can't figure out the money she's counting and she's like, whoa.
She said she first went before they went into the cinema and she bought some sweets for her and her friends. I said, why did you do that? Oh, because I had the money. I said, okay, then what happened? And then I went to get my popcorn when we were going in and I didn't have enough for a drink. I said, oh. Okay. I said that's because every time we go to the cinema, you guys just point and say, can I have this? And you think it just appears out of thin air.
Mm-hmm.
So she learned a very valuable lesson. Now she'll be like, oh, I've only got £8. So can you just give me a little bit more so I can top up and then go and get chips after? She's really starting to understand the value of money. And that's something that we're trying to install.
Amazing.
But you've made me think, okay, we need to step it up quite a few notches.
Yeah.
Yeah, you write down why you want those chips after.
Keep a little diary.
Keep a diary.
No, honestly, because it really did get me thinking. And I love that your daughter's actually having those conversations, actually figuring out what the value of money is.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people don't realize the importance and how much young people absorb even at that age.
Yeah.
And what they take in. Because the fact that I can tell you so fondly, my parents would already sit there and be like, I don't remember taking to the bank. But it was so ingrained in my mind that I was like, oh my gosh, okay, this is the money I have. Okay. Anytime I had, birthday money, I did not want to spend it. I said, put it in that account because we're going to go to the bank and the bank man's going to tell me it's gone up by £10. Put it in my account. That's all I cared about. I had no plan for the money, but I really wanted to have that money. And it afforded me the point where, especially in secondary school, I could buy the things that I wanted without having to rely on my parents. Yeah. Which felt great, especially coming from a background where we didn't grow up with a lot of money. I didn't have to turn to them for money. I'm like, it's cool. My brother's younger than me. Spend the money on my brother. I got my own money to go and buy what I want. Yeah. And in my head, I was like, you can't really tell me no because I can afford it. And I thought about it and I can buy what I want because it's my money. I'm not asking for your money. I've got my own. So yeah, it's definitely very good to start those lessons early. So well done to you both as well.
Yeah. Thank you. So I was having a conversation with my brother last week and we were saying that we as children weren't necessarily taught how to manage finances, which I think is common, like I mentioned before, in our community. What would you say to someone who's maybe in their mid-20s to mid-30s that hasn't been taught that financial education and they're just like, okay, where do I start? Adulting is real. And a lot of us just get thrown into it. It's like, we're kids, we're not thinking about anything. And then it's like, all these bills. Yeah. How do I manage my money? But I still want to have social media clout. So I think that the priority is the clothing or the car or the holidays. But in reality, I have all of these things to maintain. Where do you start?
Good question. First thing I would say is, number one, give yourself grace. It's your first time doing life. It's your first time adulting. Yeah. And on top of that, no one's taught you how to do it properly, right? Unless you've been fortunate enough to have parents who have given you that way. But even a lot of times we're asking parents to teach us things that they never got taught themselves. Yeah. And they may have never learned to a proficient enough degree to teach you. So give yourself grace, number one. Number two, it would be to sit down with yourself and really say, what are my strengths when it comes to money, right? And a lot of people say, I have no strengths. You do, right? And I'm not saying you can spend all night, when you're at a club, you tap your card and you can, but what are your actual strengths? Are you organized with your money? Are you someone who says, you know what? I know exactly where my money is. I know exactly what account it goes into. What are your strengths? And then more importantly, what are your weaknesses? Because that is what's going to hold you back to reaching whatever goals you want to achieve. So is it that when I get stressed or upset, I'm privy to an online shop and I'll just buy some stuff to feel better? Is it that Deliveroo and Uber Eats are my best friend because I just can't bother to cook and I'm tired? What are the things that hold you back when it comes to your money? And then number three, I would say, is to align your priorities. There is that pressure, like you said, that growing pressure that you need to appear like you've got it all together. You need to appear as though you're living a wealthier life than you do. And I think it's become abnormal, in my opinion, the amount that people now travel. And I'm saying that as someone who travels a lot, right? But I work for myself. And for many years, I didn't travel at all. So this is me just kind of like pulling it all back.
Catching up.
Yeah, catching up. I've been working for 5 years. The least I can do for myself is to give myself back a lot of the things I sacrificed, right? But I'm a business owner, that's slightly different. But the amount that I see regular people travel on normal salaries is not normal. Our parents traveled once a year.
It used to be like once a year.
Yeah, our parents traveled once a year. Yeah, I'm seeing people going 6-7 holidays a year. That's not normal. A lot of my holidays now are business related, right? I'm going for this or I'll speak at that. You just going, and I'm not talking little Europe trips, I'll let you off, little weekend, they're cheap for us enough. But people are doing big holidays. It's the Caribbean, then it's Mexico, then it's DR, then it's America. I'm like, whoa. Our parents could never afford this. And I know that you must be stretching yourself to afford this. So realign what your priorities are. What do you actually want? Because what you want versus what your friend wants are two different ones.
Yeah.
So like for me, for example, I just want to enjoy experiences, similar to what you said. I'm someone that's why I like to travel a lot. I love good food. I love to just enjoy experiences because I love the fact that I have memories and stories for years and I'm only 27. That's what I want. But then I have friends whose priority is to get a house. That's not my priority right now. I don't really want to be a homeowner right now.
Yeah.
But that's their priority. So that's where all their money's going. They're working. They're going to do extra odd jobs to get some extra money because they want to become a homeowner. Absolutely fine.
Yeah.
But that means that how I move, so me traveling 5-6 times a year, they shouldn't feel bad on themselves and say, oh,
yeah,
I've barely been on holiday. I've only got one holiday planned. I should go on more. No, because our priorities are different. I don't want to be a homeowner. If I did, I wouldn't travel as much. So you need to understand what your priorities are and then make sure that your financial moves and actions align with those priorities.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. You said a lot, yeah. It's just you're articulating things that I just think in my mind all the time. I'm like, why are you doing this?
People do it all the time. And do you know what? I'm not going to sit here and say I don't understand because I do.
Yeah.
It can be tempting. I see people, and I've been saying for ages, I really want a new car. Because I live half of my life, half of my week, every week in my car.
Yeah.
I really want a new car, I see people with nice cars, even people that I know, I'm like, they've got a new car there, got a new car there. But our priorities are different. That's just what it is. And I'm okay with seeing it, but what a nice car. And I'll scroll past.
Yeah.
Because I don't take it in, whereas some people look at it a bit too long and you take it in and you think, how can I get that? Because I can get a new car tomorrow if I chose to finance it.
You could?
I could get a brand new car tomorrow, the car that I want off the lot, even secondhand, a really good secondhand tomorrow if I finance it. However, I just know for my finances, financing is not it.
Yeah.
I don't want to be tied down to a 5-year contract where I've got to pay someone every single month. Doesn't matter what your income looks like. Doesn't matter if you're having a hard time, if you can't work, you owe them that money. I don't want that.
Yeah.
So I know that I'm not going to do that. So it's really just putting things into perspective for yourself.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Can you please? Yes. I just realised, I could talk to you for ages. This has been so good. I've got so many things swelling in my mind, but I'm like, okay, let's get it. Okay. Please tell me about your book, what brought it about, and what we can gain from it.
Yes. So my book is called How to Handle Money. Came out October 2024, and it was amazing because it's for 11 plus. So it means that if you have kids, you can buy it for your kids.
My son's going to do that soon. Okay.
There you go. But generally, if you're looking for a beginner's guide to finance, you can read it as well. I have a lot of adults who have read it, who find it really useful.
Yeah.
And it's essentially just that. It is a beginner's guide to personal finance. So it gives you the basics from understanding how savings works, different accounts that we have, all the way through to what credit is, how we can understand that, even down to practical skills like negotiating your bills and what negotiation and renegotiations are, investing, ISAs, scams, frauds, everything that you need as a beginner's guide is in that book. And I'm so grateful to have published that book with my publishers, HarperCollins, because they understood the importance of financial education, especially for the younger generation.
Yeah.
And we wanted this to be almost like, I like to see it as like leveling out the playing field. So it doesn't matter where you started, you can read that book. Like I said, some of it is tailored a little bit to a younger audience because of the age group. But generally, it gives you that level playing field where you're like, okay, cool, I understand the key terms. I understand what each topic looks like at a beginning stage. Yeah. That now I feel confident to begin my financial education journey and add more on to that. So How to Handle Money is there as that beginner's guide. And then hopefully the rest of our content, where it's on our website, social media, can help you to add on to that and get you to like an intermediate/advanced stage of that as well.
Yeah, definitely. So at the moment, are you focused on directly teaching young people, or are you also, I guess, educating parents on how to educate their children as well? So
a mix of the two. So our audience on Pennies Pounds is Gen Z and millennials.
Yeah.
But we do have an older demographic who also are part of our audience, which is incredible. And we do some bits here and there helping parents to be able to pass on those lessons to their kids. But I always believe that the parents need to understand first themselves and then you can pass it on. Because if I tell you to tell your child, they should be doing this, but you don't fully understand it yourself, there's really going to be that mismatch.
Yeah.
So it's make sure that parents feel confident in understanding money, and then here's how you can relay those lessons. But if your child's 9, you can't tell them, we're going to open up an ISA, because what's an ISA? They're a bit too young for that.
Yeah.
So what lessons that you can teach them at 9 versus at 13 versus at 17 to really be able to educate your kids. So yeah, it's a good mix of the two.
Yeah. What's one thing you would like the audience to know or understand? One pressing thing you'd want them to understand in relation to money?
One pressing thing. I think the thing, and I mentioned it a bit earlier, but that's the thing I always hammer down on, is to really understand your pension.
Sure.
As once you're over the age of 22 and then on £10,000 per year in the UK, you're automatically enrolled into a workplace pension as long as you're in employment.
Yeah.
A lot of people, and I remember when I was 22 and I got that letter, your first instinct is, what? Money's leaving my account. Opt out.
For pension?
Yeah, pension. What's a pension? Opt out. I want that money right now. That £100, I want it in my account. Why is it going to this pension thing?
Yeah.
But until you understand what a pension is, and even some of the benefits that can come, you get tax relief. If you have a really good employer, they might even match your contributions.
Yeah.
All employers have to contribute, but some of them match. So if you put in 5%, they put in 5%. You increase it to 8%, they put in 8%. That's just a deferred pay rise. Actually understanding the impact that a pension can have on you will change your perspective as to sacrificing that money. Because it's not I could do with it now. It's a future me will thank me for it.
Yeah.
And it's that reframe.
Delayed gratification.
That delayed gratification, which I don't think we're good at in this generation. I think we are getting worse and worse with social media and instantly ordering stuff and getting things overnight or next day.
Yeah.
Is making it hard to have delayed gratification.
Yeah.
But that is what it is. You are asking yourself, and I know it's a hard ask, I'm asking people to say in your 20s or 30s that I'm letting go of this money for at least 20 years. But maybe 30, maybe more, depending how old you are. And I won't see it until then. And that's hard because you're thinking, but I could go on that holiday right now. I could buy that thing. I could go to that restaurant I want to try. But you in the future will say, oh my gosh, I've now got a pension pot of what, 250k? $250,000. Now I can sit there and I can enjoy. And hopefully the thing is you want to be young enough. So you want to be in your 50s where you're still young and able enough to enjoy that money.
Yeah.
Because the amount of people who have to keep working and maybe 70, they can draw down on it. What can you do at 70? A lot less than you could do at 50.
Yeah.
So you got to think now. You actually want to be able to enjoy that money, not say, oh, well, I can't use this. I'm going to give it to my grandkids. What's the point of you working for all that time if you can't even sit down and enjoy a bit of it?
Yeah.
So I think it's, changing your perspective on pensions and really understanding the benefits of a pension.
Yeah. You've really made me think. Okay.
Good, I'm glad.
No, this has been so good, so informative.
Thank you for having me.
You're very... I don't want to sound old by saying this, but you're very impressive. Like you know your stuff.
I love it. Sound old. We're literally like a couple of years different.
I feel like that sounds old, but yeah, for me to say. No, I'm really inspired, and it's made me think a lot about teaching my children and myself. Yeah. Okay, changing gears slightly.
Go on.
What does self-care mean to you?
Self-care is something that I'm not great at. I want to do more of. But self-care is being able to switch off completely from the everyday noise, from being a business owner, and just doing the things that make me happy and make me feel taken care of.
Okay. Why are you not good at that at the moment?
Because I am a young girl with big dreams. And I just feel like I cannot take my foot off the accelerator. I have to keep going. Though I know, and I've had to come to terms with the fact that taking a day off, a week, or even a month off isn't going to reverse 5 years of work.
Yeah.
I think you have that perception when you run your own thing, like, oh my gosh, if I'm off Instagram for a day, a week, people are going to forget about me and I'm going to lose this. And it's not the reality.
No.
But you're in this constant cycle of I need to keep doing more. But I'm learning that I can take some time away and things aren't going to crumble. Things will still be there and I can come back to it.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Okay. You've had a really stressful day, very busy, all over the place. You get home. What are you doing to relax?
I am turning on the TV. I am watching whatever reality TV I've got to catch up on.
Okay.
And I'm a reality TV junkie.
Okay.
I watch everything.
What are you watching at the moment?
I'm watching. What am I not watching? Okay, what's currently airing that I'm still in the middle of? Made in Chelsea.
Okay.
I've just started Basketball Wives.
Okay. I want to watch that actually.
Yeah, same. That's how I'm going to start it. It's hard to find, but I'm watching Basketball Wives. I'm up to date with all my Real Housewives.
Okay.
So I'm currently watching Atlanta.
She said all of them,
but I just started New Jersey. That's how behind that. Like I've watched all of the ones that I really like. Start New Jersey. But yeah, anything reality TV within reason. Not a big fan of Towie, so within reason.
Okay.
That's me. I've been watching that. Probably making myself a meal that I like, I would say.
What would that look like?
It all depends how much time and how much I'm feeling good. Maybe like a Caribbean curry chicken. Maybe it all depends on what I'm feeling. I'll be honest. It actually depends on what I'm feeling for. But something that I'm feeling for.
Comfort food.
Yeah, or I do love a good steak though. Steak. I do love a good steak. And then either reading a book or gaming.
Oh,
I knew this.
she's a gamer.
Gaming. I've got my Nintendo Switch on me right now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's probably
I love
what
that
I
for
do.
you.
Yeah.
What are you reading? Fiction or non-fiction?
I am fiction. So
Okay.
I flick between the two. If I'm in like a self-improvement, self-help mood, I always have one fiction and one non-fiction on the go. Put it that way.
Okay.
I have both always on the go because it depends on what mood I'm in.
Yeah.
But fiction, 100%. And my genre of choice is crime fiction.
Oh, my daughter would love you.
I love crime fiction. My dad thinks that I've got a screw loose, but I love it.
She loves everything. I'm like, okay, I'll buy her a book. My husband's like, why are you getting that?
My dad literally, sometimes when he sees me like read these things, he's like, where did I go wrong? What happened? What happened? I'm like, I just enjoy it.
She likes writing as well. So she'd be like, and then they went into the dark room.
Oh, okay, no.
Breathless body.
Oh my gosh, she's in it. She's in it. She's in it. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I love that for her.
No, this has been so good. Thank you so much for coming down and sharing.
Me. This has been incredible. Such a good conversation. So I'm glad to have been here.
Yeah, I believe so. Before you go, I love my guests to share with the audience what your key takeaway or mantra for life is.
This is actually what I tell myself. So whenever I'm going to do something that feels overwhelming, or quite often I get imposter syndrome, I always say to myself, if anyone's going to do it and do it well, it's going to be me. And that's what I think has led me through everything. Even things where people say, how did you manage to do that? I'm like, I have no idea. But if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be me.
Yeah.
100%. I tell myself that even when I come up with these, what seem like crazy ideas, I'm like, I've never done that before. But I'm like, you know what? If anyone's ever going to do it, it was going to be me.
Yeah.
So that's what I tell myself.
I love that.
Thank you.
And that is the best way to round up the episode. Yeah. That's perfect.
That was good.
Yeah, it was really good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I hope you guys enjoyed this episode with Kiya. She has dropped gems. She's educated, inspired us. And yeah, all the things. I loved it. Please let them know where they can find you online.
So if you want to follow my platform, it's Pennies, as in PENNIES, £2, TO. And we're on everything, including our website. And if you want to find me, I am under IKEA, that's IKEEYAH, or you can type in my name, Kia Commodore, and it comes up as well.
Perfect. We'll have those all linked below so you guys can find her and get your financial education up.
Woo-woo.
Yeah, love that. Be sure to subscribe if you're not subscribed already. We upload weekly episodes every Sunday, and share it with someone who could do with hearing these gems as well. Other than that, take care, stay blessed, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.